Hello and welcome to Dear Franny. I'm your host, Francesca Hogi. Before we jump into today's topic, I want to first of all just check in with you. How are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting rest? Are you protecting your peace? I took a mini social media break for a couple of days last week, and it was shocking. It's not like I spend that much time on social media. I'm not somebody who really spends hours a day on social media. I check in frequently, but I don't spend long periods of time. So I never really thought that I needed a social media break because I felt like, oh, my relationship with social media is fine. But let me tell you, I was shocked by how much better I felt. It was like this invisible weight had been lifted off of me. And I'm back on. I had some things to announce and I wanted to engage with people. I didn't want to, ignore people who had been engaging with me. But goodness, I got to say, if you are feeling heavy these days, and how could you not? Because there's just so much chaos going on in the world and in the US, if this is where you're based, but even if you're not based here, lots of chaos to go around in this world of ours. Give yourself that gift, even if it's just a day. I know for a lot of people, you have your own businesses, and for various reasons, it's challenging to take a break from social media, but I really want to encourage it. I think that now more than ever, we really, really have to prioritize our mental well-being, and we have to pay attention to how things are affecting us. And this is evergreen advice, but I think now, especially, it's a good time to be reminded of that. So, another quick thing I wanted to share with you is that I have a new class series that is starting on February 15th, so the day after Valentine's Day. It is called the True Love Class Series. This is the second year that I have run a True Love Class Series. The classes this year are different. I'm very much focused this year on how to prepare you to thrive in dating in 2025, not 2025, in 2025, which is a very unique moment in time and a unique moment in our dating culture and relationship culture. Things are shifting. And how do you date these days? How do you take care of yourself? How do you show up? How do you really know who you are and date from that place of true authenticity? So I'm going to be talking about the new dating paradigm that is arising. I'm going to be talking about human design. I'm going to be talking about lots of topics that are very, very relevant to anybody who is putting themselves out there in 2025. So please do check it out. You can check out the link in my bio. You can go to my website, francescahogi.com/classes. There are 5 classes in total, and I would love to see you in the series. And if you can't attend the classes live, because they're all on Zoom, if you can't attend live, don't worry, because you will have a recording that's available to you through the end of 2025. So check it out. Hope to see you in class. I'm really excited about this cohort of the True Love Class Series, and wanted to make sure that you know about it. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you today is something that I have been thinking about a lot lately. So many of you know that prior to my career, first becoming a matchmaker and then a love coach and now an author. Oh, by the way, I've been recording my audiobook this week, and it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. The only issue is that it turns out I have a very noisy stomach, makes a lot of sounds, and had to pause the recording a bunch of times because my stomach was making too much noise. But anyway, that's probably too much information. I mean, it feels fine. It's just noisy. The engineer was like, it's okay. Your stomach just wants to be part of the recording. And apparently it happens all the time. Okay, I digress. But long before any of this ever happened, years ago, it's been 12 years now since I went to matchmaking school. So it was before then. I remember watching the Today Show and seeing a matchmaker. I wish I could remember who the matchmaker was, but I wasn't in the business. I wasn't familiar with this person at the time. But I remember something that she said, which is, if people looked out for their friends, I wouldn't have a job. And that just really struck me because I was someone who I've been meddling in my friends' love lives since I was 12 years old. And I was always that friend who, if somebody had a crush on someone, I'd be like, okay, what are we going to do about it? I was the one who would, I was volunteering to be the wing woman. I was the one who was always I was very involved in my friends' love lives because I always felt like we should be helping each other out here. So that really resonated with me. And I also remember back then feeling like almost offended that no one ever meddled in my love life, right? Like I've never been set up on a blind date. Like no one's ever introduced me to anyone. No one's ever been a wing woman for me. And I've gotten over that and I figured it out myself. But I always remember thinking like, why is nobody ever like helping me out, right? And the reason I've been thinking about this recently and I'm sharing it with you now is because I think that we really need to think about this, like as we are thinking about community, as we're thinking about human connection, as we're thinking about ways that we can support each other in real life, which are important things for us to do. We can also think about, and maybe we should also think about each other's romantic lives. And, I'm always talking about breaking this dependency that so many people have on dating apps and, embracing what I call the meet cute mindset, which is the belief that every time you leave the house, you have the potential to meet someone special. And for me, that meet cute mindset is all about having agency. So not feeling as if though it's going to take a miracle for you to meet someone or you've got to be on an app to meet someone, but actually I can just go in the world and I can engage with people in a way where I'm courting that serendipity, where I'm paying attention, where I'm not on social media the whole time while I'm in public, right? Like my phone is down, my eyes are up, right? Phones down, eyes up. That's a little hashtag that I created when I was doing a Meet Cute mindset challenge last year, right? Phones down, eyes up, and just having that expectation and that openness to engaging with people organically. I think that's so important. But I also think it's important that we look out for each other. And I'm not saying that you have to now start, harassing your friends and your single friends, and you don't have to become a matchmaker. But think about, maybe there are people in your life that you're like, you know what, this is a really cool person. Maybe there's somebody that I can introduce them to, right? And not to get in your head, because I know that a lot of people feel pressure when it comes to the idea of making an introduction or setting a friend up because they don't want to be blamed if it goes wrong. So, I understand that, but I think a lot of this is just managing expectations. So you're not saying to a friend, oh my God, I've got the perfect person for you. You guys are going to fall in love and get married and, be together forever. But just like, you know what, there's an interesting person in my office who I think is single, like, maybe I should just see, would they be open to meeting a friend of mine, and just say to my friend, hey, if this isn't welcome, then, let me know. But if you're open to it, like there's this cool person that I met, like there's no harm in doing that. It's particularly if you are managing people's expectations and really just thinking of it as, I'm just making an introduction. I'm just connecting humans that I think could have a nice conversation. I think they could maybe have a nice drink or meal together and they can just get to know each other. And maybe they'll be friends, maybe they're not, but just who knows? So I think we can all get involved. And I know that when I first became a matchmaker, so for when you're matchmaking, and to be clear, I don't matchmake anymore. Now I coach people to be their own matchmakers, which is far more successful and far less stressful. But one of the things that when you're a matchmaker, your network is everything, right? And so I was always on the lookout for single people to set my clients up with. And I would have to always ask people that I know, hey, do you have any single friends, colleagues, this and that, the other. And I would ask people that, and I'm not even asking for me. I'm just asking generally because I have clients that I need to set up on dates. And 9 times out of 10, people's knee-jerk, reflexive reaction would just be, nope, I don't know anybody. No, I don't know any single people. Like they would just shut it down so quickly. And I'd always have to say, hold on a second. Yes, you do. There's no way you don't know any single people. There's literally millions and millions and millions of single people in this country. So chances are you do know some, right? So just take a breath. I'm not asking for, a billionaire rocket scientist supermodel. Like, just think about it for a moment. And then when I would manage people's expectations, then they would start to say, oh, okay, well, actually, yeah, I do. Actually, one of my really good friends is single, or, oh, actually, yeah, this. So I say that, I share that with you to say that, and this also goes for those of you who maybe have asked your friends for setups, and they've been like, I don't know anybody single, or everybody I know who's single is terrible, or I would never set you up with them. It's just to say, calm down, right? I'm not asking for the perfect person. I'm not asking for the love of my life. I just want to meet more people. I want to go on dates. I am open, right? The more open you are, the more open you are to maybe dating against type, to maybe, releasing some of the very strict parameters that you might have had about these are the only kinds of people that I'm willing to date, and just really step into the zone of, if you're somebody that that you think that I could have a nice conversation with, and we would just enjoy each other's company for an hour, like, I'm open to meeting them, because you never know. Like, allow yourself to be surprised in love. That is so huge. And remember what this matchmaker said. If my friends looked out for each other, or I'm sorry, if people's friends looked out for each other, I wouldn't have a job. That is really a powerful statement for a professional matchmaker to say. And I agree. I agree. And dating in 2025 is such an isolating experience, and it doesn't have to be. It makes it so much harder. It makes people feel so much lonelier. It makes people feel so much more like, they've got to search and do all of this on their own, where it's like, we could actually support each other more here. And I think the more opportunities we can find to support each other and to be in community with each other, the better. And the last thing I want to say about this is just to, remind you, if you've heard me say this before, or maybe you've never heard me say this before, but, dating is a pretty recent phenomenon. It's only been about 100 years where dating has been a mainstream activity, meaning before that, marriages, well, there wasn't such a thing as like dating for fun, right? It was really about marriage and procreation. And so your family and your community and, your religious community and your tribe and your village, like it was never about you just going out in the world and finding someone on your own. It was about, look, I'm not saying that we want to go back to the time where marriages were all arranged, or when it was about who your parents wanted you to marry, or the only other person in the village who was, considered to be a suitable candidate for you. But my point is that for the hundreds of, or the tens of thousands of years that humans have been around, we were actually mating and coming together in community. It was not an isolated experience. So the fact that we have evolved to that over the last 100 years is, again, it's a recent phenomenon. And we can see how challenging it is, because it's so easy now to feel disempowered of just like, what do I do? I know there's all these people in the world, but how do I find someone who's right for me? So I think, and I am a huge, huge fan of dating. I think that dating has the most potential for us to form really fulfilling, authentic relationships, right? I do not want to go back to a time where if I had been born 200 years ago, I would have just been married off at the age of 12. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying and I'm not idealizing that time. But at the same time, as we evolve and as we're figuring out, okay, well, how do we want to mate? How do we want to come together going forward? Think about the community aspect of it. Like, let's not totally drop that. Let's think about how can we look out for each other. So I am even going to be more intentional about looking out for my friends, because I think, it's something I've always naturally done, but then now, because this has been my job for so long, I have maybe shifted out of that gear a little bit, and maybe some of my friends who are single don't want to hear anything from me. um, but I'm going to go back to this because I really want to think about more ways that we can make modern dating more of a collective experience and not such an isolating one. So remember, look out for your friends, play Cupid for other people, be open to being introduced, ask for introductions from people in a low pressure way, right? So not like, don't you know anybody to set me up with? Just be like, hey, I'm ready to do things differently. I'm sick of dating on the apps, or I'm sick of not dating, and I really want to meet someone organically. I would love to be introduced. I just want to go on a date with somebody and have a nice date with a person who I didn't swipe on an app to connect with. Like, set the expectation so that people can, let down their guard and their defensiveness and their feelings of like, oh no, I don't want to, this is so much pressure to find someone for you. Set that expectation, let them know that this is about you being open to connection in a new way, and just see what happens. And let me know how it goes. And look out for the people in your life. And one last thing I want to say about this, I know I probably already said one last thing already, but this also goes for platonic introductions. So particularly if you have a friend who's moving to a new city and you know someone in that city, like, connect them. Just be like, oh, hey, you're moving to Atlanta. Oh, I have a friend who lives in Atlanta. Let me introduce the two of you, right? Or, oh, you're new in town. Hey, why don't you come to this event? Because, a bunch of my friends are going to be here, are going to be there, and you're going to, you can meet a bunch of people at one time. Like, let's start looking out for each other, okay? Like, that, I think, is so important, and it's just going to make us feel so much more connected, which is what we need in this day and age now more than ever. Okay. Definitely been ranting a bit today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for subscribing and following and liking and rating and reviewing and all the things that you all do. I really, really appreciate you. If you haven't already pre-ordered my book, How to Find True Love, I encourage you to do so. And if you have already, thank you so very much. I so appreciate you. I am sending you love. I hope that you are safe. I hope that you are protecting your peace and taking very, very good care of yourself. Okay, until next time, goodbye.